Twelve 15 p.m. here in Simmons and the Grenades and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. You're locked on to the Queen First Song WEFM 99.9. At this time, we'll have Midday News sponsored by Courts St. Vincent Limited.
Good afternoon and welcome to WEFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Courts St. Vincent Limited.
Just in time for the holidays, Quartz is saying you deserve it with its cashback rewards for customers. Shop from October 24th through to November 30th and receive Quartz cashback every time you shop. Plus, when you shop with Quartz Ready Finance, you get double the rewards. You can use your cashback rewards to purchase items for your home or special gifts for him, her, or the kids. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, only at Quartz. Offer valid with minimum purchase amounts. See in store for details. Conditions apply. Quartz, bringing value home.
Welcome back to WEFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Courts St. Vincent Limited. I am your presenter, Rajiv Providence. First, on the local scene, Minister of Health St. Clair Prince said the government is doubling efforts to tackle the rising cases and prevalence of chronic non-communicable diseases with a focused approach for 2023. The health minister pointed out that NCDs are responsible for most amputations and are the leading cause of death in this country. In fact, the minister indicated that for the period 2014 to 2016, there were a total of 170 amputations, 69 amputations below the knee, and 101 amputations above the knee. I think Vincentians are not taking NCDs seriously enough. We haven't been speaking about it enough, and those who have been listening have not been paying attention. Our approach to NCDs has to change, Prince insisted. In tabling the bill for an act to establish the Medical Laboratories Council in Parliament, Minister Prince said Vincentians need to focus on issues such as diet, alcohol abuse, tobacco, and more, as lifestyle choices impact heavily the cases of NCDs. 27-year-old landscaper David Sam of Bay Hill Cane Garden appeared before the Kingston Magistrate Court after he was arrested and charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm on Monday, October 24th, 2022 at about 7:10 p.m. Reports indicate that at about 8 p.m. on Sunday, October 16th, 2022 at Bay Hill Cane Garden, the defendant allegedly had in his possession one 9mm semi-automatic pistol, make and serial number unknown, without a license issued under the Firearms Act. Further investigations led to the firearm being seized. Sam was subsequently taken into custody, cautioned and interviewed, then later discharged with possession of an unlicensed firearm. He appeared before the senior magistrate, Ricky Burnett, at the Kingston Magistrate Court and pleaded not guilty. He was granted bail in the sum of $5,000 with one surety. The matter was adjourned and transferred to the Serious Offences Court for October 31st, 2022. Still on the local scene, mental illness in children is not a myth and is very much prevalent today. This is according to Councillor with the Ministry of National Mobilization, Mr. Kesley Cambridge, who made the statement when he joined WEFM's Activated Morning Show earlier today. Mr. Cambridge said the government and UNICEF are trying to dispel that myth. We hear more from Mr. Kesley Cambridge.
There is a whole myth that is going around that children don't suffer with mental health illnesses and challenges, and that is something that UNICEF and even St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the government, is trying to tackle, to tell folks that this is not a reality, because children do suffer with mental health illnesses, mental health challenges, and it should be something that we prioritize because our children are our future. And as a result of that, we need to be able to cater to them in these early fragile stages of their lives, early developmental stages of their lives, to ensure that they are able to live healthy, normal, productive lives as adults.
Mr. Cambridge provided examples of some of the mental health illnesses that he has seen affecting children right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I have observed different mental health illnesses such as anxiety, depression. There's definitely conduct disorder, and I can always just briefly touch on what those are. I've also seen children who have displayed behaviors that are associated with the ADHD, attentive deficit hyperactivity disorder. I also have seen children who have displayed different symptoms that are associated with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And there are 1 and 2 children who I have seen who have also displayed symptoms associated with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So those are just a few.
That was Councillor with the Ministry of National Mobilization, Mr. Kesty Cambridge, speaking on WEFM's Activated Morning Show. Marion House Incorporated is partnering with the Richmond Vale Academy to implement a project dubbed Strengthening Capacities to Reduce Family Violence Against Women and Girls, as well as increase integrated gender-responsive services over a 6-month period commencing November 1st, 2022. According to an official release, the project envisions training 30 women and girls from across St. Vincent and the Grenadines in life and practical skills, so as to strengthen institutional and civil society capacities to increase the presence, accessibility, quality, and advocacy of integrated support services for female survivors of family violence, and to empower them to develop sustainable livelihoods through agriculture. The release states that the empowerment process will therefore be twofold. Information reference the Domestic Violence of 2015 legislation mechanisms in place to support the legislation procedure for addressing same with identified challenges and recommendation. The project anticipates a comprehensive, multifaceted, interactive, and participative education and training program on family violence presented by Marion House, as well as the empowerment of women through agricultural skills training as a means of developing sustainable livelihoods by the Richmond Vale Academy. On to news in the region. Members of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, have called on the United Kingdom government to remove the order in council which has the power to suspend the British Virgin Islands Constitution. The UK government filed the order in the Privy Council in June as a safety measure to ensure officials on the British Virgin Islands implement reforms meant to address governance concerns, which were highlighted in a Commission of Inquiry report. If the order is used, the UK government can impose direct rule on the BVI. The heads of government and political representatives met last week at the 72nd meeting of the OECS Authority to discuss the reform process on the British Virgin Islands. A statement from the BVI government said 23% of the reforms have been completed. Premier Dr. Natalia Whitley and his government of national unity were commended for their commitment to bring good governance to the BVI and for their steadfast implementation of reforms. Trinidad and Tobago on Tuesday said it intends on joining the rest of the Caribbean in sending a clear, strong, collaborative message to the international community regarding the impact of climate change. Planning and Development Minister Penelope Beckles, addressing the launch of the Caribbean Green Infrastructure Conference, said that while climate change has had a global impact, it has had even greater catastrophic effects on small island developing states, including Trinidad and Tobago. The conference is a joint venture between the National Gas Company (NGC) and the IA Movement, a non-profit organization which was founded in 2014 by a group of young people in Trinidad and Tobago who felt a strong common need to effect positive environmental and social change. A number of other organizations and financial institutions, such as the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB) and the Inter-American Institute on Agriculture (ICA), are also involved in the sponsorship of the event. On the international scene, a group of left-wing Democrats in the U.S. Congress has withdrawn a letter that called for a negotiated settlement to the war in Ukraine. The Progressive Caucus said the message was being misconstrued as aligned with a growing reluctance in the Republican Party to keep sending aid to Kiev. Chairwoman Pramila Jayapal said it was drafted months ago and that staff released it without it being vetted. The memo sparked intra-party backlash before U.S. midterm elections next month. The letter to the White House was made public on Monday and was signed on June 30th. Signed in June by 30 of President Joe Biden's fellow Democrats in the House of Representatives. Its call for the U.S. to negotiate directly with Russia was seen as undermining the Biden administration, which has repeatedly said Moscow is not interested in diplomacy. White House officials said in response that diplomacy is only possible when all sides are prepared to negotiate, and that is not currently the case. And finally, in sports, England suffered a major upset in the men's T20 World Cup as an inspired Ireland and rain seriously dented their title hopes in Melbourne. After a surprisingly meek performance in pursuit of 158, England, one of the tournament's favourites, was 105-5 in the 15th over when rain arrived. With England behind the required rate, Ireland secured a 5-run win in Duckworth-Lewis Stern method when the match was called off soon after. The result does not end England's hope of progressing from Group 1, but it leaves them likely needing to beat Australia, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka in their remaining games to go through. This has been WEFM's Midday News. I have been your presenter, Rajiv Providence. Join us again at 3 p.m. for WEFM's 3 p.m. News. WEFM's Midday News is brought to you with the kind compliments of Courts St. Vincent Limited.
Hold your breath. Here it comes. It's the number 101 reason to shop at Courts. No, it's the mind-blowing deal. So now, through to October 31st, and buy a 50-inch TCL TV for only $200 when you purchase a select TCL model French door refrigerator. Plus, save up to 30% on all major appliances. But wait, there's more. Save big on Ashley and occasional furniture pieces. Get up to 40% off Remax children's furniture. Take up to 25% off restaurant mattresses. And save up to 40% off select lounge, dining, and bedroom pieces. No cash, no problem. Shop with Courts Ready Finance and pay nothing for 30 days. Hurry! This offer's for a limited time only. Conditions apply. Courts, bringing value home.
Whatever you are celebrating, birthdays, anniversaries, engagements, retirement, or just celebrating life, the place to be is at Basil's Bar Kingstown. Established for over 38 years, we are open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with an exquisite ambiance. We have a set menu and 3 a la carte menus to choose from, and we are flexible to all requests. We go above and beyond to serve you. Basil's Bar Kingstown, where it's more than just a meal, it's an adventure. Call for reservations at 457-2713.
Brick by brick, piece by piece, building with technology, helping wealth increase. Starting small, building the future, doing more every day, doing more together. BOSVG, the bank we count on. BOSVG. Our one bank together we're strong. Our nation's bank, standing long and proud. One bank, one voice, sing it loud. BOSVG. Hey, building our future. BOSVG. Doing more together.
BOSVG. Doing more together.
99.9, the heart and soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
Where are my fighting soldiers? Is gonna fight with me today. Tell me where are my standing soldiers? Is gonna stand with me today. So some run, while some hide, while some step aside and criticize. And how long should our prophets die and poor people be pushed aside? Where are my fighting soldiers? Is gonna fight with me today. Tell me where are my standing soldiers? Is gonna stand with me today.
This is 99.9 Radio. Turn it up.
How long shall we go on before our eyes be open and the harder the battle, the sweeter judge of victory. Where are my fighting soldiers? Gonna fight with me today. Tell me where are my standing soldiers? Gonna stand with me today. Oh, oh, we are rebels every day. Oh, the Lord's army we say. Where are my fighting soldiers? Is gonna fight with me today. Tell me where are my standing soldiers? Is gonna stand with me today.
WEFM 99.9.
Talk to the 3 p.m. here in 700 of the Eastern Caribbean. You're locked on to the Queen First Song, WFM 99.9. At this time, we have a Viewpoint. Remember, Viewpoint is a daily commentary that's come to you Monday to Friday at 12:30. And today's host for our Viewpoint will be Dr. Jules Ferdinand.
Thank you for joining me on today's edition of Viewpoint. My name is Jules Ferdinand, and today I want to share some thoughts that are especially directed at teachers. It is entitled, Teachers, Important to Development. And I start with a quotation from Socrates, the Greek philosopher who lived in Athens during the period 469 to 399 BC. And he said, and I quote, "Children today are tyrants. They contradict their parents, gobble their food, and tyrannize their teachers." End of quotation. And I smile even as I share that quote, because even though that was written so long ago, it still seems so true today. Teachers are important for development, full stop. And they do play a major role in youth development. Their responsibilities are quite challenging, to say the least. They multitask as educators, mentors, models, coaches, disciplinarians, and the list goes on. Many will testify that it very often appears to be such a thankless job, but the rewards received are often intrinsic, and that is often enough to keep them going beyond the call of duty. We commend them, we thank them for the significant role that they continue to play in our development. It is probably timely to invite the listener to return to the quotation that was used to introduce today's presentation. So let's revisit it. Socrates, writing before the birth of Jesus Christ, says this: "Children today are tyrants. They contradict their parents, gobble their food, and tyrannize their teachers." Interesting. Munch on that imbibe the motivation that those few words bring from centuries past. It would almost seem as though Socrates, the great philosopher, was writing about today's society. And so we pause to reflect on one of the old sayings: the more things change, the more they remain the same. We are in a different time and a different geographic space, but the debate about the generation gap continues, and modern day adults utter the same complaints as did Socrates. Many parents, teachers, and concerned adults would identify with the truth that is captured in those words and be encouraged by the fact that they are not alone in the struggle. Today's teachers complain bitterly about the lack of discipline that appears to be so very evident in many of our classrooms. Over the years, our education system has slowly moved away from physical discipline in the schools, and that appears to have given children the wrong idea that they can say and do anything and not face any negative consequences for their indiscretion and or rudeness. This should not be the case. And while this presenter is totally opposed to children being abused, there is danger in going to the other extreme, where children grow up not understanding or appreciating that there are negative consequences to their bad behavior. The modern day teachers are trained to engage in behavior modification practices where children can be disciplined without being struck. Unfortunately, there are teachers who appear to have thrown their hands in the air, abdicating their responsibility and allowing the students to do whatever they want. This is a recipe for disaster. This is a formula for anarchy. Children need to understand and appreciate that teachers are in control during those periods when they are at school. Teachers must accept that responsibility, and children must be made to give in to their authority. Failure to maintain such order and discipline will result in chaos. Some teachers have been accosted by angry parents when they sought to lead children along the right path. Such parents do their children a serious disservice when they react in such a manner. This is especially so when the parents exhibit such undesirable behaviors as their children are going through adolescence. Such youths must never conclude that their parents or guardians can bulldoze teachers into submission. They must never give their wards the impression that they will put teachers on the back foot. As parents, we must be forever conscious of what we teach when we are not teaching. Our conversations and criticisms, especially when unfounded, could encourage our wards to disrespect teachers and school administrators, thereby worsening the situations in and around our institutions of learning. Teachers are important to development. We commend the many who selflessly go beyond the call of duty. They work long hours and exert a tremendous amount of energy to make sure that they provide their students with the best teaching learning environment possible. Some of these said teachers appear to be the only listening ears that some youths have. We, as members of society, must endeavor to protect and preserve their authority and their dignity. Teaching is a most noble profession. Many will be conscious of the fact that they will never be paid what they are truly worth. However, they press on with a deep commitment to adding value to the lives of those that they have been blessed with the honor and privilege of imparting knowledge and wisdom. Sometimes sharing life experiences that motivate their wards to pursue academic excellence and high civic responsibilities. It would be remiss of me if I neglected to highlight the significant role that Sunday school and Sabbath school teachers also play in this regard. Many will make the tremendous sacrifice to prepare lessons on a regular basis. They expect no monetary or material gain. They press on in service to the Lord, their church assembly, and their society. Many will testify of the incredible blessings that they derive from doing so. They learn even as they pause to teach, and they develop a deep sense of appreciation and a feeling of accomplishment as they realize the significant contribution that they continue to make to their students' development in particular and the society in general. They leave a legacy that is seared in the minds and consciousness of their students. They can testify that it is not what we get from such priceless voluntary service, but what we become. By pausing to influence the minds of the next generation, they soar to new heights of joy and satisfaction. They are tremendously blessed as they pause to be a blessing, and we thank them for doing so. We do not have to wait for Teachers Appreciation Day to commend and thank those